All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba. European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. ESPN NFL Nation Dolphins reporter Marcel Louis-Jacques here with us. You hear him on ESPN Radio all the time as well. Thanks a lot for joining us here, Marcel. So the Dolphins, they get the win on Sunday. They're 2-3. What would today look like if they did not win that game Sunday?
Woo, man. I said in the game that they hadn't done anything since week 2 that made me feel like they wouldn't drop all the way to 1-5. So, if they drop 1-4, the fire somebody chatter was only going to grow louder. The crosshair would probably be firmly on special teams coordinator Danny Crossman. Just too many special teams blunders over the past few weeks. I think they had 6 special teams penalties, 4, 5, 6 special teams penalties against the Seahawks. Like it would be a reasonable target. I don't ever like calling for people's jobs, but this has been one of the worst special teams units in the NFL for the past 3 seasons. And Mike, talking about after the game, said they had to assess a common denominator. That kind of looks like a common denominator to me. But, man, it would have been a dark day. And Zaz, you know how dark it already is literally in Miami right now. So it would have been even darker if they lost yesterday. And the scary thing is, man, they probably should have lost.
I mean, I certainly thought they were going to be 1-5. And I also felt if they dropped to 1-5, I thought there was going to be some really serious discussion about trading Tyreek Hill. Do you think that is now a non-subject at this point? Because you can make the case, hey, you're a win against a Colts team from being 500 when Tua returns, and you could convince yourself, hey, let's just hit the do-over button.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to be clear that I don't think they were ever going to trade Tyreek no matter what. Obviously that's kind of the instinct when you have such a disappointing season that, a team would turn into a seller. But this offense is still, when it's at its best, when it goes through Tyreek, and they've struggled to do that the past few weeks. But when Tua returns, if he does return, expect them to get right back to that. Expect them to start playing the hits all over again. This is their offense. I don't think that's on the cards for them to trade. I thought maybe, if anybody, a contract like Bradley Chubb's, considering they had Jalen Phillips, they had Chop Robinson, Emmanuel Ogbah's been good this year. If they had to cut ties with any movable contract, I thought that maybe made the most sense. But now that's completely out of the question after Jalen Phillips' unfortunate ACL tear. So Chubb's not going anywhere. Wouldn't save you a whole lot in the future to trade Armstead or Jalen Ramsey. So, there's not really a whole lot of candidates in that regard, like contracts they can move. I think that they're just going to wear this one out.
What'd you make of Tyler Huntley's performance?
It's a guy, he passes the eye test in terms of getting more comfortable. I'm not going to say he passed the eye test and looked good yesterday, but he looked like somebody who has been in this offense now for 3 weeks, instead of, having really 1 week of starter reps under his belt to prepare for Tennessee. He was a little more willing to push the ball downfield. He actually, he was at the best when he targeted that intermediate part of the field. I think his completion percentage over expectation was something like 20% when targeting throws 10 to 19 yards from the line of scrimmage. Like, he was decent in that area of the field, and they have the players, these guys are getting open. Like, these players are getting open. I think Miami's receivers, they're 4th in the NFL right now. They're open on 51% or 54% of the routes they run. It's just the chemistry is not there. Quarterback knowing, okay, this is the window, and the window opens and closes a little faster for guys that run a 4-2 and a 4-3. That takes some getting used to. So it looked like he was a little more willing. He was a little more comfortable with them. I think this bye week's going to be good. This is not a relaxation bye week. If you're the Miami Dolphins, this is not a time to get out of town and go see during the week. You have to be in that lab as much as possible. You have to make sure that Colts game is a win. You have to be 500, because when you look at that AFC East, man, all of a sudden it's not as scary as it was looking 2 weeks ago. Not with the Bills dropping back-to-back games.
Two-part question, Marcel, about the run game. Did the Dolphins have the success running is New England bad against the run? Why were the Dolphins so successful running the football? And are they going to make sure they continue running the football then?
Yeah, they're bad. They are bad against the run. And it's, I think our instinct when you talk about the Patriots is like, okay, they're synonymous with good defense, but nah, not this year. They are not good on either side of the ball. So that was a point of emphasis for them throughout the week. And, especially when Achane goes down, this is why you trade a future third to get in the fourth round this year to get a guy like Jalen Wright. We've been waiting for that breakout game. We've been waiting for him after a really strong preseason and offseason. And this was a great opportunity. It's not fun for fantasy owners. Like I couldn't tell you which one of these three you should start on a weekly basis. Achane's probably the safe bet, but I think they really might ride the hot hand, as annoying as that sounds. But they've got some talented running backs, and I think the offensive line they've taken the past several weeks personally. They're not absolved of their play, but in the run game, you kind of expected more out of this team after the success of last season. So I think they've taken the criticism personally. I think they've taken their play personally, and you saw them kind of really enforce their will against a reeling Patriots team. So I think that was a relief for Dolphins fans to see.
Let me ask you here about Mike McDaniel. From your interaction on social media, you see Dolphin fans, maybe even, you're around them or what have you. Do you find Dolphin fans' attitude toward Mike McDaniel's personality? Do you find their attitude is different now that the team is not winning?
Oh my God, yes, man. I've been thinking about this for the past 2 weeks. It kind of annoys me when I see it, when I see the complaints and all the jokes and making fun of them. Like, have y'all not been paying attention for 2.5 years? This is exactly how he talks. This is how he is talking. I've done the math, man. I have been to more than 100 of these press, media scrums. I have listened to him talk in a professional setting more than 100 times. He's probably done it a good 120-ish, 130 times since he was hired. This is exactly how he sounded dating back to that awkward first introductory press conference where like you kind of wonder like, wow, is he really that nervous? No, that's just how he talks. It's very stream of conscious. Like it's very, it's very kind of jumpy in the sense where like he won't necessarily finish a thought if he thinks of another thought. Like that's just kind of that's how it is. Like you learn how to translate it. You learn how to speak McDaniel after a while, like, and you kind of get it. But it is, it has been kind of annoying because it's like, okay, like, so this wasn't annoying to you when they were 11-6 or whatever they were last year. Like this wasn't annoying to you when they were back-to-back playoffs and scoring 70 points because this is exactly how he spoke. Yep. And I've talked to him enough times outside of a professional setting to say, it's only a little bit different. It's only a little bit different. I think he does, kind of try to pick and choose the right thing to say when he's speaking to the media, but like he still speaks pretty stream of conscious, anytime I've talked to him off the record as well. So yeah, I think it's a little overboard. Like people are just, obviously they're upset and they're looking at things to be upset about, but like ranging from picking apart his cadence and how he speaks to like wondering if, he's to wondering if he had started drinking again. I've seen it. It's just like, guys, you're upset at the football team. I get it. I promise you nobody is more upset than the players and the coaches that are losing. I promise you're not more upset than them.
So from a football perspective, though, what criticisms of McDaniel have you heard that you don't think has been fair?
That I don't think is fair. The play calling. So one thing that I've tried to do in my career is I don't necessarily criticize play calling. It takes a lot for me to criticize play calling, right? Jacoby Brissett's safety in the end zone 3 years ago. I criticized that play call because that's ridiculous. I think earlier this year, McDaniel not going for it on 4th and 1 from his own, like from like the opposing 40-yard line. Come on, like all right, I can criticize that because it's like all right, this is procedural.
It's right in front of you.
Yeah, but like when it comes, but I'm not in the room. during the week. I'm not in the meeting rooms. I don't know what matchups you're trying to exploit.
Right.
I don't know what you're setting up. Like I don't know, and I don't want to pretend that I do. So I very rarely criticize play call, and I would advise fans to do the same because you might be able to make sense of something in hindsight, but you don't know what they're trying to attack. You don't know for sure unless they tell it or you're in the building. So I think it's kind of a popular complaint. Anytime a team struggles, it's the first thing people look at is the offense. And the offense obviously has not been good, but the personnel right now is not good enough. Like, I'm sorry, it's a problem at quarterback. We've heard them blame everybody else and saying we have to do this, we have to support. It's not wrong, but like quarterback play has been a massive issue for the past 3 weeks because it trickles down everywhere else. Like if you can't throw the ball, nobody respects the pass game, then you're not going to be able to run the ball. Teams are going to stack the box. The Dolphins have faced, I think, 7 or more players in the box, more than any team except for maybe 3 or 4. I was doing the research the other day. So it makes it difficult. I don't think that falls on Mike McDaniel's play calling all the time. Like I still think like he's the best possible person to call plays for this team.
So it sounds like if the Dolphins can win in 2 weeks against Indianapolis, you would find yourself at worst a game back of first place like they are right now, inexplicably. It sounds like you do believe that if Tua returns in week 8, that this team might be markedly improved.
Oh, they might be markedly improved. It's hard to say because they they were going through some issues before Tua was hurt. Like we can't act like everything was hunky dory, and this is dating back as to last season, right?
Yep.
I think a big problem, and I wrote about this the other day. A big problem is the lack of a third passing option or receiving option was something they addressed this summer, but they never really got the chemistry for. Like they were still kind of getting used to each other in game, and Odell and Tua have still yet to practice together. So, like that has to be solved first. Otherwise, teams are going to keep doing this too high safety deal and limiting what this offense can do. But they have a couple get right games. They've got Arizona in the first eligible game back. Buffalo is not a get right game, but then they've got the Rams and the Raiders after that. So like they can get their feet under them before a brutal end of the season, and they're going to have to, because if this team's not figured out by that Thanksgiving game in Green Bay, then put the season away, because that's a murderer's row to end the year.
Marcel, excellent job, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us here for a few minutes and giving us an update. Everything's going on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. Hope you stay safe this week.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.